WCLA Choice Matters is supporting Andrew Cuomo for our next New York Attorney General. We're endorsing him for a very simple reason. Westchester women can trust Andrew to protect a woman's right to choose. Westchester women can trust that Andrew Cuomo will continue the legacy of Eliot Spitzer in fighting for women's reproductive rights. We support Andrew because of his integrity. He has pledged to maintain the Attorney General's Reproductive Rights Unit, which was the first of its kind in the nation. We know he will honor that pledge to enforce existing clinic access laws and ensure that women have access to reproductive services. We are facing a critical moment in the fight to protect women's right to choose. President Bush is clearly stacking the Supreme Court. The right-wing extremist agenda is taking hold across the country. We just have to look to South Dakota to get a very clear picture of what lies ahead. We're proud to put our confidence and faith in Andrew Cuomo because we know he is the best qualified in this race to be our champion. We can count on Andrew, period. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our next Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is a true honor. First of all, it's good to be in Westchester. A lot of friends, a lot of memories. And it's an honor to be endorsed and receive the support of the WCLA. This is a fantastic organization. It has been for many years. And it's fought the good fight for many years, when it wasn't always easy. The issue of protection of a woman's right to choose is an issue that I've been working on all my professional life. My father, remember my father, former governor of New York?
We have his pictures on the wall.
I worked with him on the issue even before that. So it's been the mainstay of my political life. And it is a very, very important issue. And I think it's a seminal issue in this campaign. I'm running for Attorney General, and the question is very simple to New Yorkers. Who do you think is going to protect New Yorkers as the next Attorney General, especially at a time when the federal government has abrogated its responsibility, and some would say the federal government is part of the problem, the right-wing extremists who in many ways are controlling the federal government. And the issue of choice is a perfect example. I agree with Catherine. We are in real danger of seeing Roe versus Wade overturned. Literally one judge now makes the difference. And they're clear where they want to go. South Dakota has already passed a law making abortion a felony. I believe protecting a woman's right to choose is one of the most important issues. As Attorney General, you can play a key role in this. The Attorney General does the amicus briefs, does the appellate advocacy, runs a reproductive rights unit that protects a woman's reproductive rights here in the state of New York. So the Attorney General is definitely a key position. My position is I'm 100% pro-choice. I always have been. I always will be. I believe abortion should be safe, legal, and rare, but I believe it's a decision between a woman in consultation with her doctor, period. It is not a decision for politicians. It is not a decision for government. No one should tell a woman what to do, and that's the essence of the choice debate. And it's a debate that's only getting hotter, it's only getting more ferocious, and I think it's going to be a very, very important topic going forward. Unfortunately, I know that it will be. The support of WCLA means a lot to me. Again, this is a group that's been fighting the fight for many, many years, as have I. I'm honored to stand with them, and I look forward to doing battle with them on this issue going forward, shoulder to shoulder, as we make sure that a woman's right to choose is protected here in New York State and across the country. I can't thank them enough for the support. It didn't come easy. We had a lot of in-depth conversations, but I'm glad it turned out the way it did, and now we're going to get to work to make sure the Attorney General does follow the legacy of Eliot Spitzer, protecting New Yorkers, especially when the federal government doesn't, and I'm confident that together we're going to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Before we take any questions, and putting aside, of course, that Andrew is the best qualified candidate for this position, I think it's very important to go over why we are not endorsing Jeanine Pirro. I feel strongly for the sake of truth and so that that Westchester women and women throughout this state understand the difference between these candidates, and why, very importantly, we are not endorsing Jeanine, who comes from Westchester, but is someone we do not trust anymore. And we have a history and documented her history to prove it. It's a history that women should understand, and it's a history that every voter should understand. Because if we cannot trust our public officials, our elected officials, to stand for what they told us before and stand by their commitment, we can't elect them. We shouldn't elect them. Someone who will flip-flop and say is not someone we can afford to elect. The last thing we need is to elect someone whom we know says things only to garner votes. The last thing we need is someone who lacks the integrity to stand by her word. Jeanine Pirro is just that type of candidate. The point is, she uses the term pro-choice as a marketing tool to be employed depending upon with whom she's speaking. When running for Westchester DA, she touted past endorsements by pro-choice organizations. And when running for AG, you will hear her, just like yesterday, tout past endorsements. In 2005, when she was selected by the powers that be in Washington and Albany to damage Senator Clinton, the New York Times asked why we refused to endorse her. Simple. Jeanine lost Choice Matters support after submitting a questionnaire in 2001 with incorrect responses and omissions, which even contradicted the same very answers she'd given NARAL. For example, on our questionnaire, Ms. Pirro literally wrote, "I don't know," next to questions about protecting the life and health of the mother. But on NARAL's questionnaire that year, she answered in the affirmative. How could you have one answer for Westchester and a different one for New York? It's obvious why. She knew she needed NARAL's and WCLA Choice Matters endorsements and would say whatever it took to get them. When we needed Pirro to clarify why she wrote "I don't know" to 8 individual sections of a question and why she omitted answers to others, she suggested that instead of filling out the questionnaire herself, I should do it. And because after all, I simply knew she was pro-choice, as she said. But we don't do that. We don't answer for candidates. That's why we ask them the questions. And in a follow-up phone call that we had hoped would result in a discussion of the questionnaire and of choice, Pirro demonstrated a surprising lack of knowledge and no interest in learning more about the issues. She calls herself pro-choice, but her words show that she will simply do and say whatever she believes different groups want her to hear in order to get their vote. She told NARAL one thing to get their support in 2001. She flip-flopped and told the Conservative Party another thing to get their support. She'll say she's a moderate, but she's a flip-flopper. Moderates don't cave to the Conservative Party simply to get on their ballot line. The health and safety of the women of New York cannot afford to trust Jeanine again. Issue of integrity. The woman lacks it. She lost it when she would not answer questions. She lost it when she changed her position. And this is a repeated problem. She cannot escape her own past. We have put out letters and documents to back up everything that I've said to you today. This goes far past the abortion issue, and I never thought I'd stand in front of this sign and say that. But I cannot, in good faith, tell the women of New York that they should feel comfortable voting for someone who will trade on them to get the conservative line. Thank you. And you have to remember, this is coming from an organization that she accredits with getting her elected in the past, that we really stood by her until she showed us what we were standing by. In order to get our endorsement, she had to stand by all the things she now says she doesn't. I think it's fantastic that we're pulling back all the disguises now and saying, New York, be very careful what you do on November 7th. Don't be fooled again. And she, in the Times, as a result of their inquiry and as a result of this questionnaire, made very clear that she is not pro-choice. If you look down the law at the laws that states are passing, parental notification, parental consent, whether or not you cross state lines, how would Jeanine prosecute a grandmother and her granddaughter who come across state lines if the law just passed by the Senate in the spring becomes law, which says that nobody is allowed to bring a minor across state lines. No grandma, no aunt, no nothing. Say this kid was raped by her father. So we're going to entrust prosecuting to Janine. You're asking her to be the one to decide whether she's going to subpoena people's records. So you're giving her carte blanche if you elect her. And this is a woman we can't trust. I keep trying to say this goes so far beyond. It's an integrity issue. It's a trust issue. What will she flip-flop on next?
Mr. Cuomo, it's reported that NARAL in Westchester is not supporting Janine Pirro anymore, calling her a flip-flopper because now she's saying abortion in the case of a woman's life, but maybe not in the case of a woman's health. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, well, I think that's the point that Catherine just spoke to. To be pro-choice, this is not an a la carte menu. You can't pick positions that are convenient. Pro-choice means you're pro-choice. You protect a woman's right to choose, and everything that means. What WCLA Choice Matters is saying today, what NARAL said yesterday, is that she's changed her position fundamentally. That she said one thing, she then changed that position, she's now saying something else today. And that's problematic on two levels. Number one, it means you're not pro-choice. And number two, I think what you hear in Catherine's voice is there's a sense of betrayal from those organizations that had endorsed her based on her representations. For myself, look, politics to me is an exercise of principle. A lot of these issues are difficult issues. Choice is a difficult issue. I'm a Roman Catholic. These can be difficult issues. But I think that's actually the test of the integrity of the official. You understand the facts, you inform yourself, you make a decision, and then you hold fast to your principle. And you don't blow with the political winds. The issue of choice, Catherine was speaking about how long this organization goes back. This has been a long fight. This goes back to the 70s. And it hasn't been an easy fight. And politicians have paid a very, very high price to stand on their principle. Many of them have. And that's when I was referring back to my father. I remember this struggle as a child, frankly. And the pressures that he was under as a public official. But if you're 100% pro-choice, you believe in the principle, then you stand up for the principle. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's most important. I would rather lose an election than change my principle to win an election. That's what politics is about. For me, that's the school that I come from, and that's what today is about. You can't pick and choose. Pro-choice is not an a la carte menu. You're pro-choice or you're not. You take a position, you stick by your principle. Agree, disagree. This is who I am. This is what I represent. But I'm 100% pro-choice. I always have been. I always will be.
Of course.
Andrew Cuomo is a candidate we can trust. Pro-choice, pro-Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo for New York State Attorney General. Andrew Cuomo for a woman's right to choose. Pro-choice, pro-Cuomo. Choice Matters endorsement. A woman's right to choose is Andrew Cuomo. We can trust Andrew Cuomo for New York State Attorney General. A candidate we can trust. Choice Matters, a woman's choice for New York State Attorney General Andrew Cuomo.